Hey, good afternoon. This is the last session of the day before the drinks, so I can assure you we will finish on time. My name is Mark White. I get to be the moderator this afternoon, and this afternoon's session is all about adventures or case studies in telecoms app development. And we have a couple of changes to the agenda. Primarily, there are two speakers who couldn't actually make it. So a couple things to the presenters. We do have slightly more time than you think. If we need to, I've got a reserved presentation, which I might talk about. We're going to be able to do questions through the presentations because we aren't necessarily going to be that limited by time. And I'm told that some of our speakers can talk for hours if we let them, so we will have to try and rein in a little bit. It's me. Look, I just want to thank everyone for joining us. It's going to be really interesting. And without any further ado, I would like to hand you over to our first presenter this afternoon, Moshe from Fone.Do.
Okay, so a year ago, I gave almost the same presentation last year at this time. And I'm going to talk today about what we're doing and what we learned in the past year. So the first thing I learned in the last year is not to do a live demo that isn't prepared. Because I don't know, it was here last year. I dialed a random number and it turned out to be a sex line. And it's still on YouTube, so it was a little embarrassing. Yeah. So let me tell you a little about how we started Fone.Do. Personally, I've been in the business of providing hosted phone services for small businesses, PBXs, and similar services for the last 10, 12 years in the United States, in Cyprus, and in Israel. And a couple of years ago, I looked back and I said, you know, we've been selling the same exact service for the last 10 years, but if you look at the internet, at the web, things have changed completely. It's a different world. And I started thinking, well, why can't we give the web experience to small business telecom? And you know, there's really no reason we couldn't. But when you speak to telecom people, as Sebastian and other people can tell you, it's a little problematic. So what we did was we went and started a new company called Fone.Do. And we hired only web developers who knew nothing about SIP and nothing about voice over IP, but they knew how to develop web applications. And then we took an agency that specializes in designing UX, user experience, and we said to them, we want to do something that the only criteria should be is that you know how to use the web. You know how to use Facebook, you know how to use Gmail and similar applications. You should be able to set up a phone system for your business in 2 to 3 minutes without any other prior technical knowledge. And the third thing we said, that since we're going on the web and we're going in the cloud, so if you think about it, a lot of businesses, a lot of phone businesses today are in the cloud. What did they do? They took the server, the PBX or server, whatever it was, in the communications closet in the office, and they put it up somewhere in a data center, and they said, oh, now we're in the cloud. But when you really think about it, being in the cloud, again, it goes back to the philosophy that this is a web application. So being in the cloud, you should actually be connected to everything else that is in the cloud. And you should be able to use that information so when you get a call, you should be able to see relevant information about the person. And you should route calls based on information. Basically, once you're connected to the cloud, it's endless. If you give a developer an API, so basically it's endless what you can do. And we like I said, we wanted to make it a very fast setup. At the beginning, we used to say 3 minutes, but then we started at exhibitions letting people set up their system, and It took them 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. So it's really now, it's a 2-minute setup. And we said, you know, if you look at companies like RingCentral or Vonage or Fone.com, they have a contest who has the most features. So one company will say, I have 40 features. Other company says, I have 50 features. I have 60 features. But if you really look into it, 80% only use 20% of the features. And what happens is you're spending a lot of money for support and training and all that. So what we did is we said, let's take the 20% features that 80% use. And if you're in the 20% who doesn't use that 80%, then you know there's plenty of other suppliers. But we want to make things very simple. Together with all this, it sort of coincided and it really pushed us was the beginning of the commercialization of WebRTC. Because WebRTC, first of all, gives the ability of what I've been talking about the last few minutes, that you can really make it into a web application. But number two, it really opens you up to everybody because nobody has to be on your network. He just has to have a browser. So your customers can be anywhere. And this is the setup. We have a similar setup on the web, but this is on mobile. It's also something we learned. When we started designing 2 years ago, we designed on the web. But by now, we all know that people use mobile much more than they do a desktop application. So of course, we have set up also on the mobile. And all you have to do, if you want to use our service, is go in, put in, we'll give you a phone number based on your location. You can pick another location, but we'll offer you right away a phone number from the area that you're in. You put in your name, your email, your mobile number, which is your identifier, and the company name, and that's all you have to do. And then in the background, using text-to-speech and other technologies, we build a whole PBX, including direct phone numbers to each extension numbers, virtual receptionist IVR, voicemail, which I'll get to that in a minute because we're doing different things with voicemail. But basically, the whole system is already set up after 2 minutes. We don't take, the model is, we don't even take a credit card at the beginning. You don't have to give any information. You can just, after 2 minutes, you can actually start making and receiving calls. And it will work on all your devices. So you're set up on the web to work on your mobile. All you have to do is go and download an application for iOS or Android. It basically gives you the same experience that you have on the web. Now, one of the things, okay, so this is like a mock-up of the type of information you can get. So when a person calls, today there's all kinds of services that you can connect up to and pull information about that person. So it's a whole different experience if a salesperson gets a call and he actually knows who he's talking about, who's his favorite sports team, what the weather is going on there. It's a whole different experience, but what we're planning to do is open up our API to developers, so basically developers will be able to add any source of information that they want. So, and we call that Smart Caller ID. Now, as far as voicemail, really, nobody uses voicemail anymore. It's more like of a notification that somebody called you. On the other hand, you don't want to make a call and then we'll just stop ringing. You want to get some kind of feedback. So we turned it more into that voicemail is more like an IVR, which will then send out texts to the recipient saying, call back Moshe urgently, or different things like that, to give you both the feedback and also communicate in the way that people are used today to communicate. People are used to communicating with text. Of course, and the same thing with what we call two-way SMS. So there's no reason, if somebody wants to contact your business, why do they have to contact by voice? Most of the younger generations today don't want to use voice. So the way we were setting it up is that you can contact that main phone number of the business either by voice or by text, but you'll have the same experience. So you also have a text IVR, and you can communicate like that. Now, one of the things we learned when we originally started out, so we thought, okay, this is the competition. But people started coming to us and saying, well, I have a call center that does this and that, or I have a management software for property, for real estate companies, and you have 90% of what I need. I'd like to integrate with you and do some more different, turn my system into a system with communications capabilities. And like one guy said to me, he has a call center with 800 seats, and he wanted to write something new, and he was thinking of working with Twilio. But he said, but with you it will be much easier because I don't have to write all the code and develop everything from the beginning. I'll take what you have, but I need queues, so you don't have the queues I need, but I'll add on the queues. So we started seeing also that we're going into in a similar space as Chad talked before, the CPaaS, the communication platforms as a service. Another thing is something that I knew, but it really I saw much more emphasis on in the last 2 years. I knew that most small businesses still want to use desk phones, even though there's a lot of people on mobile. But I see it even more now. We have customers coming in and saying, no, I really need a desk phone. So one of the things we did was we're integrating with Yealink and Polycom, and we did something very nice that when you want to add a desk phone, we have a picture of the desk phone and on the web, and it says turn it around. It shows you where the MAC ID is in the back, and all you have to do is enter that MAC ID, press a link, and automatically your phone is provisioned with all the details of your extension. So that's another way we're trying to keep everything self-service. Another thing was when we originally started out, so we thought we'll sell directly, which was sort of stupid because if you want to compete with all these companies that already exist, and you have a company like RingCentral that's spending $40 million a year on marketing, so it's pretty hard. And what happened was when we started advertising, we were getting every day a few inquiries from resellers. So we saw that was actually a much better market for us, and we started working with resellers. And one of the interesting opportunities that came up were MVNOs and the resellers of mobile service. So if you're selling mobile service to a small business, what differentiates you from the other guy? Usually only price. And so we had this MVNO come to us and say, that's my problem. But if I take your service and give it to my customers for free, so now I'm giving them not only a mobile with phone number and data, I'm actually giving them another phone line with a business phone number, and actually it's a whole switchboard that goes into their pocket. So now when they receive a call, they can separate their business and private life. And if it's a business call, either they can answer it themselves in a proper way, or it will go to the IVR and will be also answered professionally. So he's paying us per user per month for the software, but he's giving it to his customers for free because that is his cost of acquiring customers. And we actually worked on this concept together with GoDaddy, because GoDaddy are also going into telephone services for small businesses. And at GoDaddy, they say their typical customer is a single business owner who's female and lives in the flyover states, where Trump got all his votes, right? So the concept was that somebody like Jane, she doesn't want to miss a call, but she really doesn't know what to do. She has 2 phones. And what we said was, fine, okay, here, now you're going to have 1 phone, but you're going to really sound now professional. You're not going to have to carry around 2 phones anymore. And now you can keep your business life separate, as I was saying before. 1 second. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. Okay. And this is for instance, MVNO that's selling our service. So his line is mobilize your business. And then he gives you all these functions on his mobile. This is just sort of like a architecture of what we did. What we did was, again, it's all really cloud-based, and we have our Fone.Do server, which is like the brains, the application server. And we have about 13, 14 components which are connected. But the way we built it was that we can tomorrow we can remove one component and put in another company. So for instance, for the media server, we're using Dialogic, and we're using also Telestacks for some of the switching components. But not only can we move in and remove things, so we're working with a carrier in Europe on a proof of concept, and he wants to use his own billing. So the way we built it, we can just take off the billing and he'll put in his billing, which is very convenient. I'll show you here the web interface. Yeah. Okay. So once you set up, so we integrate with Google Contacts. I have like about 12,000 Google contacts, and it syncs with it very fast. Of course, you have your call history. You can record calls and listen to the calls. Here's, for instance, what I was telling you about configuring a desk phone. So it's really very simple. And I know in my other companies that I provide, there was always a big pain helping customers configure their phones. This is just an example of what happens when you use web technology. So for 911, we have to put in an address. And just to make sure that you're not making a mistake, so we use Google Maps. Now, when you're using web technology, it's very easy. But in a telecom mind, you wouldn't really think of it. Another thing we did, which was interesting because of web technology, so when you receive a call on a mobile, most mobiles today, you have the option of rejecting it with a text. So we had the idea to do the same thing here. When you receive a call on the web, you should be able to reject it with a text. But how is the other person going to hear the text? So again, we're using text-to-speech. So if I receive a call and I'm busy, I can type in, John, I'm busy right now, I'll call you later. And John will hear, the phone will stop ringing, and he'll hear it say, John, I'm busy right now, I'll call you back later. That's something that took us about a day to do. Again, in the telecom world, that would be a big project. That's one of the things to do. So here we have, you have all the administrative stuff. You can change your users. You can set up your IVR. For instance, with the IVR, one of the things we did was, again, we want everybody to start working very fast. So we did text-to-speech at the beginning. But most people want to upload a customized message. So we give the option to upload a customized message. But again, we tried to make it very simple. We didn't want to stop people from moving at the beginning. The same thing with porting numbers. Most businesses want to port a number. So we say to you at the beginning, fine, we can port a number, but we'll do that later. And porting is also something we did very simple. I mean, anybody who's in telecom in the States at least knows that porting is a real pain. It can take sometimes weeks, and you get rejected and you go back. So what we did was we're putting up invoices from different, the main carriers in the United States, and it's circled exactly what information you have to enter, and there's an online form where you enter the information. So everything is really self-service. I mean, in the end, we still have to do some things with the other carriers, but it makes things much more easier. So that's basically what we've been doing and where we moved in the last year. And if anybody has questions, yeah. Yes.
I have a question about your mobile side. Yeah. On previous slide, you showed that you use WebRTC on Android and iOS. Do you use WebRTC or RAMC?
No, SIP, okay. We wrote our own SDK for WebRTC for iOS and Android. When the calls get to the media server, if it's going outside the network, we convert it to SIP. But in the network between our own devices, it's all WebRTC.
Also, I saw with Dialogic Media Server. Yeah? Does it contain Turn server, Turn, Stum and Turn?
Yes, yes, yes. Oh, stun and turn. Yes, 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 yes.
Because as I understand,
Yeah.
not this problem. So WebRTC has the same problem.
Right, yeah, right. Yeah, right. And we use it for a number of functions. We use it for that. We use it for converting codecs and managing the whole media stream. Yes.
Thanks for the presentation.
Thank you.
A couple of questions. First, regarding scalability, because now most of the examples you provide are in the US. But as you know, having the ID numbers around the world is very hard right now. So I think maybe 40 or 50 countries support that. So how are you thinking about tackling this issue to be a provider, a worldwide provider?
Okay.
Normally it's expected that you offer for the whole world, not for a specific country.
Well, no. If you're in the United States, you don't know that anything else exists. It's like in baseball they call it the World Series because they think that's the whole world. Okay, so right now we're located in Amazon in the United States. We're doing tests with potential customers in South America and in Europe, and there it's probably going to be in their own local cloud for that market. So DIDs isn't a problem. You can use a Voxbone or somebody else and provide right away DIDs all over the world. But you want the infrastructure to be nearby. And another thing is, again, our philosophy is trying to keep it as simple as possible. So if I'm in the United States, where practically nobody takes international DIDs in small businesses, so I'm not going to put it in there because it's just more support. But if, for example, if I'm in Europe, which is very international, so then I would put in that option.
Another thing, you said that you started, when you started the whole concept, you wanted to have the top features, 20% of features that are supporting 80% of clients. But as your business grows, you have more demands, as I saw from your presentation, and you're adding features and features. So how the kind of decision making are taking? Are you still strict or you're just adapting to client needs?
Okay, so that's the problem of anybody who's a product manager, right? You always have all kinds of demands. We're trying to keep it very, very simple. We're still trying to keep it very simple.
Do you have find a formula, for example, when to say yes and when to say no?
No, yeah, if we hear a demand from, say, 50% or 60% of our resellers is one thing. But if a reseller comes to us and says, I must have this, everybody uses this. So then everybody uses this, so maybe if we have the resources, we can give him the resources and he'll pay for it and we'll do a development for him. But to put it into the product is a mistake. But that's, it's the same thing every product.
Sorry, the last question only. Sorry about that. Regarding the billing, billing in Tilk world is very, very demanding. And I see that you have your own billing system. So is it something, an open source?
No, it's a third-party system that we licensed. Okay. Thanks.
Just one question here. What are the advantages of using a regular user of using Fone.Do or Skype?
Okay. So first of all, Skype is not really a business system. It's more of a one-to-one or a voice. It's not something where you would call a business and get a professional IVR and be able to manage, have an admin who's adding users and deleting users. It's not a business system. It's more of a one-to-one voice. It's very convenient to use, but it's not a business.
For a regular user.
For a single user too, but again, most of our customers are small businesses who want to look professional, because people buy from a business when they feel it's professional. And in the tech world, it's okay if you say Skype me and whatever. But in the non-tech world, if you want to buy a service from somebody or a product from somebody and he says to contact me on Skype, most people aren't going to take their credit card out and purchase something, because it doesn't sound professional. It's a different world.
Look, we might cap the questions there. We are going to have a speaker's corner at the end of the session, and obviously we can continue upstairs with the drinks. So please join me in thanking Moshe.
I'll just say, anybody wants to try it out, don't send me an email, give me a trial account. You can just go to Fone.Do and sign up and use it. And if you have any questions, email me.